each child needs to have their own IEP, basically, their own program of what it is that they want to do based on their skills, their interests, their abilities, their desires, what's in their heart, what God put in their heart. And so he challenged me to homeschool first, which took me 10 years to finally say yes to. Don't wait that long. If somebody's telling you to homeschool your children, don't wait 10 years to say yes. So we started looking at home business and said, hey, how can we bring this into what we're doing on the farm? And so we stepped into that. And so my oldest son created a system for selling houses on eBay where he would use eBay to create passive income. Great system. Let's see if we can study this thing and do it a little differently. And so that's when we stepped into what we call entrepreneurial education. Part of the whole secret of success is surround yourself with people who are successful, who are going in the direction that you want to go in, who have the right mindset.
Welcome to the Fun School Show. I'm here with my new friend, Rhea Perry, and two of my kids, Joseph, who is 15, and Ember, who is 12. And you are 15, right?
Yes.
Okay, he is 15. So yesterday, I picked up a new friend from the airport. We had never met, but a mutual friend of ours, Jim Cochran, said, you two need to meet each other. I was telling my friend Jim, who's kind of a business coach for us, that I want to start putting on homeschool events where all the fun schoolers get together and do fun school stuff, and I teach you guys in person how to fun school, how to conquer dyslexia, ADHD, while you're just having your tea and relaxing, okay? So Jim said, you've got to meet Rhea. She's amazing. She's a homeschool mom, and what I didn't know and what I learned yesterday is that she is an idea factory. She is an idea factory because we were getting to know each other sitting on the couch, and two of my sons came into the living room and she said, what are you boys doing to make money? And they kind of looked at her and like, well, and she's like, well, what are you interested in? And what do you love to do? And then all of a sudden she was sharing with my sons a million brilliant ideas that could help them to become millionaires by the time they're 17, or at least be able to have a lot of spending money or money to invest in their future. And I thought, oh my goodness, the world needs to hear these ideas. And I have two kids who are ready to get started making money, building businesses. And I thought, I would love it if Rhea would sit down with our kids during a podcast episode and help them brainstorm ideas for how they can start making money. Because at about the age that they are, my husband and I love to invest like $1,000 to $3,000 in their first business, building skills, buying equipment, getting mentoring, but they have to know what business they want to launch. So these two have a foggy idea of what they want to do with their lives, and the problem is their ideas are foggy. And if I'm going to invest in their first business, we need some clarity. And Rhea, I'm so excited that you're here to help them discover what the possibilities are.
Well, it's great to be here, and I just have to shout out to Jim Cochran. Thank you so much for introducing me to this amazing family that lives in this amazing learning center, because this experience being here has been marvelous, because so many homeschoolers that I know would love to have the type of facility that they have here and the environment that they have put together. Environment is one of the factors of having a successful homeschool experience in your family, and they've done it all right. And I can't wait for them to develop this out more and invite you to come visit. But thank you so much, Sarah, for having me come this weekend, because it's been so fun to learn about what you're doing, your concept of homeschooling, and to be able to impact your family with just crazy ideas and just challenge them, because that's what I love doing.
And I have loved your ideas. I'm an idea person too, but the ideas you were sharing yesterday were unlike anything I ever thought to encourage my kids to do. And it's like just incredible. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do with these ideas. And let's go.
Sure. So a little bit about my family. We homeschooled 7 children for 29 years. We left society and moved to that farm that everybody wants to move to in Tennessee, so that we could just focus on the children and help them to figure out what each one of them wanted to do. They all went in 7 different directions, including heaven. One of my sons died when he was 19. He owned a commercial industrial roofing company and had an accident. It was very tragic. So several of them are entrepreneurs. Several of them are not entrepreneurs. And so just because you have several children in your family that all look alike and they're all from the same parents doesn't mean that they all have the same mindset or the same desires or goals, and they're going to go in the same direction. So each child needs to have their own IEP, basically, their own program of what it is that they want to do based on their skills, their interests, their abilities, their desires, what's in their heart, what God put in their heart. And so there's no like cookie cutter, basically. So if you're looking for that cookie cutter, just quit. It ain't out there, right? Mm-hmm. So we lived on a farm in Tennessee. And my husband had a job, and he didn't make enough money to provide for us. And so he was very educated, had almost 2 master's degrees from a major university, but just never was the entrepreneur person, just never was able to step into being able to make a lot of money and didn't have a heart for business. He was a carpenter. And so he challenged me to homeschool first, which took me 10 years to finally say yes to. Don't wait that long. If somebody's telling you to homeschool your children, don't wait 10 years to say yes. So we stepped into that. And then he came to me and said, let's figure out how to encourage these children to be able to make money doing something with their lives, because I don't want them to be as educated as we are. I have a degree in education, and not be able to make ends meet. And so I took that challenge seriously and said, let's start studying what's out there. So basically, the Lord put me in the middle of the Internet Millionaires in like 2003, and that's where I met Jim Cockrum at a live event. And then the Real Estate Millionaires, and now the Cryptocurrency Millionaires, and several other sets of millionaires along the way. And so I just learned from them. And then what I would do is host events, which started at my farm and then eventually got bigger and bigger, and we ended up at different Marriott hotels and Hyatts and Hiltons and Gaylords and things like that. And then I eventually hosted Jim's events for the Amazon sellers as well for a few years with his team. But I brought the expertise from different sets of experts who had been making money in different arenas to the homeschool world, because we use the Charlotte Mason method of homeschooling. But so many moms came to us. We worked for Lifetime Books and Gifts selling homeschool curriculum, basically Charlotte Mason things for 5 years years ago, back in like 1988 we started for 5 years. So they said, Charlotte Mason is great, but what about high school? What are we going to do with these older children? We don't want to just do, nature studies and all. And so Robert Kiyosaki came along about that time and wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't read that book, great concept. And so we started looking at home business and said, hey, how can we bring this into what we're doing on the farm? And so we stepped into that. And so my oldest son created a system for selling houses on eBay, where he would use eBay to create passive income. Great system.
Selling houses?
Houses on eBay.
Real houses.
Real houses. I don't remember how many he bought back then, but he did a lot of different things. So I took him to real estate conferences. Hey, here's a clue. Take your young people to professional conferences so that they can learn about different things. And they're going to say to you either, I hate this or I love this. If they hate it, go a couple times, give them, the opportunity to enjoy it. But if they love it, you've hit pay dirt, so just keep going. So I took my children to professional conferences of all types, and he loved real estate, absolutely loved it. And so I don't remember how old he was, probably 16, 18 years old when he stepped into that. But he would make as much money selling his course in a day as his daddy made in a year. This kid had no homeschooling, no traditional education outside of homeschooling, and his daddy had almost 2 master's degrees. And I looked at that and said, okay, something ain't right here with the education system. Let's see if we can study this thing and do it a little differently. And so that's when we stepped into what we call entrepreneurial education. And so then the more I learned, the more I realized that, hey, you don't have to have a job these days, because when the internet came along, it offered you the opportunity to do so many different things. And so I've been blessed basically with a very amazing education in home business. And we've made a lot of money doing a lot of different things. And so I just would bring these experts in. We would host live events. And then I would say to my homeschool families, here are some millionaire experts in about 7 or 8 different arenas that you can learn from. And if you like one of them, buy their $1,000 course and take them home with you, basically. And my homeschool moms would say, $1,000, that's a lot of money. And I would say, well, you can compare that to what you would buy at a curriculum fair. And I'm not saying don't buy that stuff.
And let's not talk about the cost of college. I
Right.
always say invest $1,000 in your 12-year-old and get them going on a business. And then you don't have to invest $150,000 on an 18-year-old.
Right. And that's what I would tell them. You're looking at the cost of $1,000 versus all the other expenses that go with normal traditional life. And so, and plus you can check this expert out. And if you like them, if you take them to lunch, I tell them, take these millionaires to lunch or to dinner or for breakfast and talk to them yourself and see if you connect with them. Then you can buy their course. A lot of times they would have mentoring programs and they could take take the course home, and then they had access, like through Zoom or a phone call, to have access to a millionaire mentor in a particular arena. And so that worked. So we've had several hundred families that have done amazing things and gone in so many different directions, and it's been a crazy fun journey. And so now we're in the process of putting that all down into a system. Now that I'm not homeschooling anymore, where I can share that system with other people. So watch for the book that's coming soon. It's Educating for Success.
Educating for Success. So watch for that book, and I'll be sure to share about it once it's released.
Right. And in the meantime, I have connected with my new best friend. I call all of my people that I adore and love best friends, and that's basically a code word for it. You can trust this person. So you'll hear me say 100 different people are my best friend. It's because I love meeting new people that are forward-thinking, that are positive, that are imaginative, and that I want to be friends with, because part of the whole secret of success is surround yourself with people who are successful, who are going in the direction that you want to go in, who have the right mindset. And sometimes that means stepping away from people that are like concrete blocks that hold you down and keep you from going forward. And so, because the people that you learn from can take you in so many different directions, and they are a bonus. So one of my things that I just tell people all the time, the word of advice is make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you are in every area. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
All right. So we're going to just get started. I'm going to let you kind of interview these two.
Okay.
And get a feel for what they're interested in and maybe what kind of businesses they could start.
Okay.
With all the free time that they have being homeschoolers, and with their talents, their gifts, their resources, their interest, and maybe they need a little money to get started too. So have at it. Ember and Joe.
So, Ember, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So tell me, what is your favorite thing to do?
One thing I really enjoy is riding the horses with Naomi. Because sometimes we go outside of the gate and we go and just ride around. It's really fun.
Horses, okay. And what else do you do on this property here?
You take care of a lot of things on the farm.
Well, I pretty much take care of all the animals.
So you're the farm manager?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Mostly when Naomi and Laura's gone, I take care of them.
So there's three of the girls were the ones who really, really, really wanted a farm and lots of animals. And so we went for it under the condition that they take care of the animals.
Great.
And so there's two older girls, Laura and Naomi. They're 16 and 19. And they created the farm, but they love to travel. And so whenever they travel, Ember runs the farm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So one of the things that we need to look at in life is creating multiple streams of income. So there's a verse in Ecclesiastes 2 that says, divide your portion to 7 or even to 8 because you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth. To me, that means don't put all your eggs in one basket. So a farm is the perfect example of one project that has multiple streams of income on it. So with your animals, what all do you have here?
We have chickens, we have geese, we have horses, we have goats, we have sheep, we have turkeys, cats, and dogs.
Okay. And so do you have a garden? Do you grow things?
We have a garden, we grow things, but not really right now. It's cold.
Right. It's winter, dormant season. All right. What else do you have? Do you have a pond?
No, actually.
No? Okay. Do you have timber?
Wood.
Wood?
We have a cat named Timber.
Oh.
Like our cat.
Okay.
We
So,
have maple trees that could be tapped.
oh,
We have maple trees.
Lots
Cool.
of maple trees.
We have
Okay.
a lot, actually.
We also have pine trees, white pine, which on Etsy you can get like a pound of white pine needles for $70
Oh, wow.
wow.
for making
Yes.
tea. Yeah.
Wow.
So we probably have like 4 million pounds of pine needles on this farm.
There's one right there.
Yeah. And so, like, that's a business any kid could start. I experimented with this business and I had offered to send a tea box with fresh white pine needles anywhere in the country for $50. And I sent maybe like 7 ounces of pine needle tea. And then some other, like I sent hibiscus with it because pine needle and hibiscus are great. But people had discovered that pine needles have like 5 times the amount of vitamin C as a lemon. And so it helps people get over illnesses and colds and flus and sicknesses that we're not supposed to mention on YouTube because we'll get canceled. And also the side effects of certain experimental medicines that have been really popular lately. The pine needle tea helps people recover from the impact of those experimental medicines. And so pine needles have become really popular, and we have tons of white pine trees. And the tea is so good. It smells like lemon and tastes like Christmas.
Crazy. That's
So
awesome.
that was like one business I was like, I could get a kid going on this.
Totally.
Good.
You would?
Okay, so here's an idea. So I'm old school and I love paper. And so I have 3-ring binder notebooks for every project that I have. So if I was in your situation as a farm manager and was looking for a variety of different ways to monetize what you already have here, I would get a 3-ring binder notebook and I would put a bunch of paper in it and I would write one thing on each page, like ducks, turn the page, chickens, next page, horses, next page,
Maple trees.
maple trees, next page, garden stuff, whatever you're growing in your garden, next page, the forest, whatever. And then just ask yourself, what can I do with this one thing that will make money? And sometimes they'll be seasonal, like farms are seasonal. You know, there's a planting time and then there's a harvest time, right? Spring and fall. And so there's also, you said horses. All right. So this is popular and this is not my idea. It's just one that I'm stealing from some other people. You can flip horses. So you can buy horses cheap, then fix them up like you would fix up a rental house.
Train them a little bit.
Train them a little, break them, brush them, calm them down, whatever it is, and then resell them on a different market. Horse arbitrage, basically. If you love that kind of thing. You can do it with dogs. You can raise dogs. You know, a lot of people.
We could literally just do that with our dogs.
Yeah, your sister
Yeah,
already
because
raises
Maple
golden
and
retrievers.
Threaders,
Right.
they're
Right.
both girls, and we could breed them.
So what can you do with ducks? Ask yourself, what can you do with ducks? Because when you start thinking creatively, there's people that live in the city that don't even know where eggs come from. You know, they think, well, they come from the grocery store, you know, where before that? So you can even have a petting zoo and let your people come out here and they just pay you to come in and just see where ducks are.
You could bring your pony to birthday parties.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so here's a story. So my oldest son, Drew, had his pet when we were on the farm was a blind bull. He was some kind of a miniature bull, but he was blind. And so Drew built 2 wagons. One was a utility wagon, one was a passenger wagon. So when he had to go up behind our property, we had 44 acres and you have to clear off the fences occasionally, he would hitch up the utility wagon to this blind bull, and he trained him to voice commands. I did not know you could train a cow to voice commands, but he would gee and haw and stop and reverse and all that stuff. And so he would hook the wagon up, and then he would make him follow him around the perimeter of the farm. And if he had to go stop and go to lunch, the cow would stand right there and wait till he came back and told him to go again. And so then we would take him down to festivals in our town, hook up the passenger wagon, and he would literally carry people in the passenger wagon.
And he was blind?
And he was blind, right. And we called him Red. He was amazing. And so that was an oddity. And we didn't ever charge anybody for that. But when we would take him with us, it was, fun to let people go for a ride that a cow was pulling the cart. We also had a water buffalo at one point. Everybody needs a water buffalo. So Drew decided one day that he just thought, hey, I know this guy. So he brought this water buffalo home. I can tell you hundreds of hours of stories, especially about how he got out, because two little dogs about this big chased him down the road. So he called the radio station and said, hey, our water buffalo got out. If anybody sees them, let us know. They thought it was a prank call. People will pay to come see a water buffalo, because how many do you have in your neighborhood? Think creatively about what you are.
Well, another thing, we have a CSA at our farm, and that's community supported agriculture. So farmers from all over the community in season come to our farm on Thursday morning, and we have 24 big bins, and we fill the 24 bins with produce and baked goods that are all no GMO from all the local farms. And we sell those for like $50 or $60 each. And sometimes if there's something that we're harvesting at our farm, I'll add that to the basket, and it's something you could do. Like, you did help. You would make bouquets of flowers and herbs to put in the basket, right?
Yeah.
And
I collect the herbs and
and so we can make baked goods. And so if you're making baked goods and you're making like $5 for each loaf of bread, you have a market. You have 24 customers that come to the farm every Thursday that want eggs, bread, potatoes, kale. They'll buy anything, and it's a surprise box, so they never know what it's going to be. Whatever's in season, we put in the box.
Yeah, cool.
And so that's something you could say, I'm going to help be in charge of the surprise box and make money.
So here's another question. Are you a writer? Do you love to write?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Writer? Well, kind of.
You're kind of new to writing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could also do either a podcast or some other format if you like to talk, and you can do videos. Here's an idea. This is just throw it out if you don't like it. So as a farm manager, as you're studying all this book that you can put together with all these different ideas about how to monetize horses and ducks and all these different things, could you put together an ebook or a print book like the rest of what you have guys already put together that's called something like 101 Ways to Monetize a Small Farm?
Oh,
And
how
so
to make money off
how to
your
make
farm.
money off your farm. And it can be as easy as flipping horses, raising ducks, selling rabbits, and then you make sure that the babies are born right around Easter time, because people buy rabbits at Easter. Don't know why, they just do it. Go down to the local farmer's market and have them. But just take each one of those things and then just have enough experience in it to see how it works, and talk about just get in your mind what are the pros and cons, and then just write one chapter on 1 page, 2 pages on how to monetize ducks, or 3 or 4 different ideas on how to monetize ducks. And so each one of those things would be one way. So you would have, here's one way to monetize ducks, here's another way, here's another way, here's another way. But you put a total of them together and you come up with some number. I just threw out 101.
Yeah, so you have like 3 ways to make money off of all these different things you might have on
Right.
the farm.
And
we need a farm fun schooling journal.
Right, because here's the thing. When you're doing a thing like managing a farm, there's a limited amount of money that you can make out of it because you have a limited project. But when you put what you've learned off of an entity like a farm into a virtual product, then when people buy that, and not just teenagers, but adults, everybody's looking for ways to make money. And some people have farms and they don't know how to monetize them, or mini farms. That's a popular thing right now. You'll make way more money selling the information than you'll ever make on the farm.
And that would be really easy for you because your parents are publishers. You
Right.
could create, see this? This is the Baker's Fun Schooling Journal. What if you wrote the Farmer's Fun Schooling Journal, how to make money off of your
I
farm?
can literally do that.
Especially if you just limit it and say 101 ways to monetize a small farm.
Yeah. Wow.
Totally. And so you don't even have to write that. You can come up with the ideas, put all the content together, and then hire somebody else to do the writing part if you're not a natural writer. Because I have people in my life that love doing things, but they're not real writers. but there are writers out there. So if you have a brother or sister or even a VA or somebody that loves to write, just say, I will pay you as a contractor for you to write out what I think, and then just record it on a phone or something and just say, here's the recording of it. Turn this into a script for me.
Another thing
Word
you
doc.
can do is we can go into one of my social media groups and we can say, hey, friends, do any of you have a farm? What are some ways that you make money on your farm? And then give us a good answer, and somebody's going to win a free book. And then you'll have like 100 people who will share ideas on how they think you could make money on a farm. And then you get the community to help create the book, and then they want to buy the book because their tips on how to make money is going to be in the book.
Right. And then when you have a live event out here on the property, which you have very often, then you can do your own little workshop on the side, and you can take people on the little farm tour or whatever it is that you want to do, whatever's in your heart to do. Or they could have like an extra half day where they have to pay $27 for family or per person or whatever to do an extra little workshop to take the tour. And you're going to show them what you've talked about in the book, but do it in real time. And then you could video that, and you could also sell the video to the people that couldn't come live.
And you could have a farm girl camp in the summer where all the little girls that go to our homeschool co-op could come over to our house and do farm girl stuff. And their parents will pay $50 a day. You could have 10 girls. You could make $500 a day by having a farm girl club.
I'd call it farm kid, boys and girls. Farm kid. And there's a lot of people that live in town that don't understand farm life at all. And so that would be a market, because kids that already live on the farm are going to say, I'm going to pay you money to come over here and you're going to show me stuff I already have to do that I don't get paid for at my house. So there's a lot of people that live in the city that are homeschooling these days that just need that farm experience. So one of the things that several of my kids did was they worked at a free-range chicken farm, one of the largest ones in the South, for several years. They've eviscerated millions and millions of chickens. And so the guy that was the the leader of the farm, the farmer basically, had been a successful business person, and he sold his he sold his business, and he bought a farm because he just wanted to live out in the country. And so he started raising chickens for himself, and a couple neighbors said, hey, can you throw a couple chickens out for us? So after that, he went to Joel Salatin, learned how to do regenerative farming, and now he does chickens, pigs, turkeys, goats, beef, everything. He's now retired. But at his peak, he was doing everything. So he had homeschool kids that came out and worked for him in the summertime and managed all of that for him. And he used chicken tractors and that whole thing. And so, I lost my train of thought. Rats.
So we were talking about her having the city kids out to
right. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Farm club.
Right. So
Camp.
What he said to the people that were working at the farm with him, he said, people that are coming out here to buy the chickens they don't just want free range chickens. They want the experience of leaving the city, getting away from all their stresses, and coming out here and enjoying the peace and the aura of the farm. So customer service is huge here. So you make sure that they have a positive experience here. When these ladies drive up in their SUVs, you go out there to the car, meet them at the car, get the cooler out of the back of the car. Do not let them pick it up. Take it over to the processing center. We'll fix it all over there. And then when you take it back, open the car door for the ladies, make everything be wonderful so that they have no stress whatsoever in their life. And then if they want to stay and hang around and talk, engage them in conversation. So he was teaching them customer service, basically, which was very valuable. So you can do that as well when you have people come out here and take the tour of your farm, because these days we don't understand the basics of customer service like we should. And that's part of what you learn when you're doing business. You learn networking, you learn how to give, you just learn the ethics basically of doing business. And you can start with something as small as just a farm project.
Wow, great ideas. Now let's move on to Joseph.
All right.
So Joseph, what is your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do, well, I love doing a lot of things. I love music, playing piano, drums, leading worship, singing. I love fitness, although obviously I haven't been doing that for too long. Working out, things like that. Just things like that,
Okay, so music.
I also love travel.
Okay, travel.
Oh yeah, you can talk travel with him. He loves travel. Would you like to make money off of travel?
I would love to make money off
Okay.
travel.
That's really good. All right, so
I
knowing
could
that
go
you
to
have...
Tokyo and make some money off that.
How about
Oh, yeah.
leading a trip to Tokyo with a group?
That'd be
Would that be
great.
fun for you?
I don't know how many people would trust me with a group going to Tokyo, but
Wow. Okay, so how old are you right now?
I am 15.
15. Okay. All right. So first of all, let's talk about music. So what do you know about music on the internet that you would love to step into? Like one of your brothers last night said he would love to create jingles. And there's just a variety of other things that you can do
Yeah,
with
so
music.
obviously like social media stuff. I'd love to do like music on like social media, YouTube, things like that. I don't know if that's something I would be wanting to do like right now, maybe in the future, but that's one way you can do that.
Are you a songwriter?
No, not really.
Okay.
But you come up with really cool stuff on piano that's instrumental.
Yeah, I do instrumental stuff.
So you have a brother that likes to write poetry, and that's basically the lyrics that go to songs. Can you guys work together and put together songs with his words and your music?
We could try.
Because one thing that works really well is when two people have different skill sets and they put them together. You have a word person and a music person, and you put them together. Then you have, it's like peanut butter and jelly, or chocolate covered strawberries. It's better when you put the two things together. So you can partner on a thing like that. Now, I'm not super big on partnerships, especially with siblings, because sometimes they don't work out. But so you have to have a lot of boundaries and understandings and communication to make sure that it works right. But if you guys wrote songs, or because the biggest way to put a message out is through a song. You know, if you want to calm down a group of people real quick, all you have to do is just put on a very, calming, peaceful song that everybody knows, and they'll all start singing it, and they'll all start swaying. And so if you start writing these things down, then you can create your own music, and you have no idea where that's going to go. I mean, there's so many different directions that it can go. Okay, that's just one thing with music. Okay.
Yeah, well, I have a little story to throw in there. I had my first two kids. One of them was really great at creating instrumental music, and another one was interested in being a singer and songwriter. So I told the kids, if you guys produce a song together to the point where the vocals, the music, everything is there, and then you post it on the internet, I will give you $100. And that was the beginning of a huge musical collaboration between those two kids.
That's great.
And so now they've produced a lot of really awesome music. If you look up Anna Miriam Brown, she's the author of His Story the Musical, Of Ashes the Musical, Dreamers the Musical, and a really cool song called Dear Icarus. Well, most of those songs, all the background music has been produced by my son Isaac. So take a listen, but it all started with me giving the kids $100 to produce music together. Now, it didn't originate with that because Isaac was already super awesome at creating instrumentals and Anna was already writing songs, but putting them together started something really cool. You have sisters who write songs too.
Who?
Lily?
Oh.
Don't laugh.
She does. I've never actually heard the song she's written, so.
You never know. If it's too much of a challenge to work with your brother, you might consider working with your sister. And she's pretty.
Okay, so let's talk about travel, because the travel business, the travel world is an $8 trillion industry. And the current trend, there's several, but one of them is for young people who are 18 to 25, 30 years old to work from home, but they don't want to just stay at the house. They want to go to cool places, and they take their laptop with them so they can keep working. and travel at the same time. And so there's a lot of different opportunities. The travel industry shifted about 10 years ago, and we can talk about that for days and days because there are so many different ways to make money inside of travel. There are commissions built into almost every single travel product, like travel insurance, getting a passport, not so much domestic flights. There is a way to do that, but it's a little bit trickier. But international flights, hotel stays for sure.
What about tours? Like
Tours.
if you were to like take a group of guys on a tour of Tokyo and you organized the trip and you organized the hotel and you organized a tour, is there a way for him to make money off of that?
There totally is. And we have a young man in our organization that I think he was 16, and he took a railroad trip across America. He and a friend of his just went by themselves, and now he is actually a travel professional, and so he can earn commissions on what he's doing because he's now 18. At the time, he was not old enough. You have to be 18 to be a travel professional. But there's lots of things you can do. You can take people on cruises, take a group on a cruise. You can host an event on a cruise. You can take people to Israel or to the Holy Land. That's been popular for very many years, and there's commissions on all of that. I personally believe that every missionary, every organization that's religious-based should have a travel department in its or organization, and because there's massive commissions in all of those different projects that most churches and religious organizations don't know how to get. So they're leaving money on the table. And I think it's a matter of being a good steward of the money that you are managing for a project like that. So once you're 18, we'll come back and revisit that. In the meantime, just start studying geography, because one thing about studying travel is it's one of the best ways to study and learn about geography. The cruise industry actually has training on that. But learn about the continents right now and the oceans and the people groups and all that, and then just step into like an apprenticeship situation with your mom and your dad as you're traveling and learning about these different things, so that when you turn 18, you can start monetizing that.
He can start being a travel organizer for trips that we do.
Right.
We're about to take a trip to El Salvador. I'm about to lead a trip to Greece. I want to take a group to Mackinac Island. Like, we could actually make plans to do trips and adventures that you could come up with these plans. You could say, hey, Mom, I have an idea to take a group to the Grand Canyon and see all the sights, and I want to offer this to sons and dads, and you organize the whole thing, and then you make part of the money. And when you're younger, it's like we're working together, but then when you're older, it's all yours. And it sounds like that might be something super fun for you.
Right. And one of the things that we tell parents is and young people also is partner with people that have what you don't have. So if you're 16 years old, 15 years old, you're not 18 years old yet. That doesn't mean you can't do anything, and then you have to wait until you're 18. There's certain things you can't do until you're 18, but you can partner with somebody who has what you don't have, which is she's over 18. So you partner together, and like she said, you do the planning, you do the legwork basically, and then she just puts it all in her name or whatever. And then when it comes time to be paid, then you're paid. You're part of the project, because young people are very creative and they have things that they want to go do, and older people are like, we're more business oriented. Like, let's make sure we see this and this and this, and you're like, well, hey, let's go do this fun sightseeing thing that. This cave, let's go caving or something or other, which we would never have thought about, but you've discovered it online or whatever. And so you can coordinate, events like that, because there's a commission built into almost every travel product that there is.
So what kind of money would you make off of, let's say he organized like a father-son tour of Israel. I mean, Israel's a little iffy right now, but in a couple of years, but based on the history of taking a group to Israel. Let's say he organizes a father-son trip to Israel for 40 guys.
So we can't really put a dollar figure on that, because it's going to depend on all of the different factors.
Yeah, it always changes.
But
are you looking at earning $3,000? You're looking at earning like $10,000 or more off of a week-long trip?
It depends on the number of people that you're taking, but you could feasibly look at like $20,000, $30,000 per trip.
It's like if you took like let's say, how many people? 20 people on a trip?
20, 30, 40, depending on the trip, the length. There's lots of factors.
20 people, let's say the base cost of the trip was like $2,500, $3,000. Then you had them pay me $5,000 each. Then I already have $40,000 or something from that.
Well, there's a lot of factors
Yeah.
to it. So you can't figure the math out. And,
Yeah.
And we have to be careful in making projections. Let me just say that when you take a trip like that and you're taking a group, there's ways they don't pay you. They have to pay a certain way, but they don't pay you directly. But there's more commission built into a trip like that than people realize. If people understood how the world works, they would have a travel department with every religious organization they have. And homeschool moms and dads, you would be travel professionals yourself, just so that you can make the commissions on your own travel, which you're already doing. Especially like cruises. If you're already taking your family on a family vacation and you're taking a cruise once or twice a year, there's a commission built into that. You need to be getting that commission. Plus, there's lots of other benefits that we're not allowed to talk about because the industry is highly regulated. But if you want to learn more about that, hey, I'm here to help you.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I love that this conversation really made us aware that you love travel and you think it would be fun to maybe lead and organize tours. We have a whole bunch of Travel Dreams Fun Schooling books because when Anna was your age, she wanted to create a bunch of travel journals to help people plan their adventures. And so a fun schooling travel adventure type of thing that goes along with fun schooling books could be something we could totally do.
Yeah. And I plan on going on a trip to, in the summer for camp, YWAM commission camp, and going to visit Hawaii and stuff in the summer sometime next year.
Yeah. So how can parents best invest in their kids and help their kids when the kids are ready to start a job, start a business, make money?
Okay, so let's take the standard lemonade stand. All right, so if you just buy all the stuff and let the kids set the lemonade stand on a card table out in front of the house, a lot of times what happens is there's another person that sits at the table with that young person, and nobody comes by, and then they end up drinking all the lemonade, and then they go in the hole. And mom says, oh my, you made $3, but she spent $20 on all the supplies, the ice, the cups, the lemonade, and all that stuff. And moms don't hold accountable the young person for the expenses. So instead of doing that, why don't you start with a lemonade stand and you say, all right, first of all, we're going to strategically pick a weekend where there's a lot of people out, like they're out shopping for something.
When the neighborhood is having their garage sale.
Right, when they're having their garage sales. So what you could do is go out to your friends and say, let's have a lemonade co-op, basically. So I'm going to provide the lemonade and the ice and the cups, and you set up a table, and you set up a table, and you set up a table, scattered around the city on your corner. Now, the problem now is that you have to have a permit to do that because the city will not let you set a table out.
Here you can still.
Okay, great. Well, check with your city before you try this wherever you live.
Kids around here have lemonade stands.
Okay, and so all they have to do is have the table and they show up. And so you're going to contract with them and say, you're just going to be here from like not 9 o'clock because they don't drink lemonade until it gets hot in the afternoon. So say show up from 11 to 2 or something like that. So you just show up on your corner with your table, and I'm going to bring all the supplies to you. And then I'm going to pay you at the end of the day a certain amount, whatever that amount needs to be, $5, $10, something like that, whatever you agree to. And then you make sure that mom is available to take you to the store and go buy all the things that you need. And you just go around to all the different people that you have that day, 5 or 10 friends, and you provide them with all the things that they have, and they just take all the money. You don't sit at the table and sell lemonade. You just organize the project. And so at the end of the day, you go and you collect all the money that comes back from that table, and you pay the person whatever it is that you agreed to pay them, and then you keep the rest. Now, you have to go back and pay mom for the amount of money that she's invested, but if you're buying in bulk, you go to Sam's, and you buy the lemonade, and then you're going to disperse it out to your 10 friends, so it's going to be cheaper if you bought it at Sam's. And so you have to pay your expenses so that you understand overhead. Because with business, you have to make an investment, usually in tangible things like that, before you can make a profit. On the internet, you can actually sell air because you can create an ebook, pop it up there, and make money, as you guys know how to do already. But with this, it would give you the concept and the idea of not swapping hours for dollars. Because the problem is if you're an employee, you're swapping hours for dollars, and you have a limited amount of time, a limited amount of everything. But when you magnify your ability by networking with other people and in bringing them into the project with you, you can expand your options, expand your potential for gain. So they're all going to learn from what you've done about how the model works, but also next year you may have competition from when the guy said, well, wow, I only made $5, but that guy that coordinated the project made $500, and he didn't even sell any lemonade. So it's just a matter of thinking differently. Instead of thinking about how can I swap hours for dollars, how can I make hair bows and sell them to people, how can I walk dogs for people, instead of swapping hours for dollars, think about how can you multiply that, put a network together and get people working in a team so that you can all do what you love to do, but you are basically the coordinator of the whole project. Just an idea. You're going to learn the basics of business with that.
Most parents need to learn that themselves.
Right. And mom, by the way, don't let them off the hook and say, okay, I spent $20 at Sam's, and say, oh, that's my contribution to your project. No, they need to learn that there are costs to life. And so the first money comes back off the top, they pay their bills. Because one of the things that I've seen in young people these days is they're not paying their bills. Mm-hmm. They think credit cards are real and there's no payback, right? The first thing that will happen when you turn 18 years old is all the credit card companies will find you and they will send you credit cards. And so you can get upside down real quick. So you've got to understand how to use good debt and not get into to bad debt.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us spontaneously. This has been amazing. So did you guys learn anything?
I learned a lot.
What are you going to do?
Try to make money.
Doing what?
Farm stuff.
Farm stuff? What do you think you're going to do?
Not completely sure. I'll have to think about it, but I definitely have a lot of good ideas
Yeah,
now.
I still need to think about it, but from that I can think of a lot of things.
All right. Well, thank you. So if you enjoyed this, leave a comment. If you have an idea for how to make money on a farm, drop that into the comments. And if you have any ideas at all about how kids can start making money, we would love to hear your stories and your advice. So we'll see you next time.